It's been a raging success, will I say. And I wanted to come on here and hang out for just a few solo episodes. There's been some things on my heart and on my mind that I can't talk about so much when I'm doing guest appearances. Have you ever seen people living a life on their terms, unscripted, that's just fantastic? And you thought to yourself, I want that. How'd they get so lucky? Well, my friends, this podcast is for you. Oh my goodness gracious. Welcome back to the More Confidence with Lunaria podcast. I am freaking excited today. I cannot tell you enough how excited I am. For a start, it's been a considerable while since I've come on here and done a solo episode on my podcast. How are you enjoying How'd You Get So Lucky? I've, over the last 8 weeks, have been interviewing the most incredible people, asking them the very question. How did they get so lucky? Because, of course, what I've come to understand is that success in our life, in any area of our life, be that happiness, joy, be that career-wise, be that our relationships, all of that doesn't come down to luck. If you are living a life by design, if you are living a life on your terms, it's because you have made pretty considerable courageous decisions in your life. Sure, sometimes the universe comes together in our favor. That does happen, absolutely. But you have to be prepared to make those decisions. And if I've learned anything from the last 8 episodes with my incredible guests, is that they were willing to jump. And I'm so curious as to know what you have thought of this incredible series on the More Confidence with Lunaria podcast. Me interviewing people. Rest assured, there is many more where that came from. I wanted to dip back in here. Onto a solo episode because just 3 days ago, yes, 3 days ago, my brand new book, Get Happy and Free, which you'll see in the background here as well if you are tuning in onto the YouTube, Get Happy and Free, Unlocking the Happiness Code, just went live. Yes, 3 days ago, Get Happy and Free just went live. And I cannot thank each and every single one of you enough. This is my second book. And it's been a raging success, will I say. And I wanted to come on here and hang out for just a few solo episodes. There's been some things on my heart and on my mind that I can't talk about so much when I'm doing guest appearances. When I am appearing on other people's podcasts, I get to talk about it a little bit. When I have guests on my show, of course, I'm seeking to understand their stories. But there's a few topics coming over the next few weeks that I really want to just dive on into. And today's episode is, well, really no exception to that. Today's episode is all about getting happy and getting free. Did you know that the vast majority of people who listen to this podcast do not hit that subscribe button? You really don't. Very small amount of people actually hit subscribe. And those who do hit subscribe, well, they actually help this podcast and me more than you could possibly ever know. Really, because every single subscribe that comes through, every single review, 5-star, every time you share this podcast, it allows me to continue to do this work. It allows me to continue to make more episodes like this. So if you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Maybe share this with someone that you know, that you love. Any of my episodes, going all the way back to the Body Love Meditation on episode 1, through the Katie on the Couch series, where I interviewed people about their self-love and confidence. The self-love lessons with Luna. Yes, we had a name change in there. That's how long my podcast has been kicking around. I've been doing this for many, many years and wanting to bring you really amazing free content for you to be able to improve your life in all areas of your being and existence. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, share the love with someone, and maybe they too could get so lucky. Maybe you could as well. Let's get happy and free, shall we? I gotta tell you, this book, I know that maybe it's just a little self-indulgent to come in and talk about my brand new book. There's a good reason for it. And the reason I want to come on and talk about this really pertinent topic is because we're unhappy. Don't you think? As a nation, as a people, as a culture, humanity-wide, we're pretty unhappy. Despite that we have access to, in the first world, we have more access to mental health facilities than we ever have before, despite the fact that we have access to great levels of wealth, despite the fact that we have access to entertainment and friends and connections, and we have seemingly a whole bunch of things at our fingertips, we are still unhappy. And if you think about it, 100 years ago, that hot shower that you had this morning was impossible. 150 years ago, the people that you look up to, the people that we would revere in history, only 150 years ago, didn't have access to that flushing latrine that you so happily scrolled Facebook on this morning while you got rid of last night's dinner. We have this abundance of access to incredible things in our lives. We live like royalty. We live like kings and queens. And look, I understand that not everybody has an abundance of wealth, right? I appreciate that. And that there is huge economic differences between the, lower class, the middle class, and the upper class. I get that. I'm not sitting here pretending as though any of that doesn't exist. But what I am saying is the fact that you have access to the internet, the fact that you have a device to which you are watching or listening to this episode on, tells me that you, even if it doesn't always feel like it, are actually pretty darn wealthy. You have this incredible roof over your head. You have this device to which you're listening to. We have so much, and yet we're constantly searching for more. We're constantly in a state of lacking. We constantly feel like what we have is not enough. Who we are is not enough. And so this very book that I've written here, Get Happy and Free, Unlocking the Happiness Code, isn't a book that's going to help you learn how to manifest your heart's desires. It isn't a book that's going to help you to get all the circumstances in your life just right so that you can finally be happy. No, what this book is going to teach you is that it's the very chase of trying to get everything right in your life that's actually making you miserable. And that seems like a bit of a harsh truth for many of us. But hang on a second, Luna. If the circumstances of my life aren't great right now, I know I'll be happier when I'm out of that job. I know I'll be happier when I'm no longer in that relationship. I know I'll be happier when this happens, when that happens. Yet, just go ahead and think about it just for a moment for yourself. Was there a time in your life where this current reality, the current experiences and circumstances that you are facing right now in this moment, was there a time in your life where you wanted this? Was there a time in your life where you dreamed of having what you have right now? And yet it's still not enough. Look, if you're in a crappy job and you want to be doing something more with your life, absolutely change it. If you're in a relationship that isn't serving you and you want to get out of it, do something about it. It's great. I'm not saying that you never want to change the circumstances of your life. It's just that we need to change our expectations around what that's going to give us. Because getting everything that you ever wanted will not make you happy. Wouldn't it be amazing if it did? If getting everything you ever wanted would make you happy forever, sustainably, true happiness, then wouldn't all the celebrities in the world be the happiest? Right? Wouldn't all the people with lots of wealth, with seemingly opportunities at their fingertips left, right, and center, wouldn't they be the happiest people on the planet? Now, we might see a happy version of them, right? We might see them on social media looking all beaming. But how many of them are truly deep down happy? How many of them aren't chasing the next thing, trying to get better, trying to build a bigger business, trying to get a bigger role, trying to get paid more money? How many of them feel like imposters, perhaps just like we do in our jobs? Many. Because many celebrities end up drinking, drugging, sexing themselves into oblivion, sometimes to the point of death, if not even taking their own lives. So what is it? If it's not in chasing and getting everything that we've ever wanted, if happiness does not lie in there, then what does? You may have recalled, if you've been listening to my podcast for a little while now, I did a few bonus episodes, probably about 6 months ago, back in March? Back in October 2023, I did a 10-day silent meditation course, and it's known as Vipassana. And it was my second Vipassana that I had ever done. For many of you sitting there going, oh, it sounds like heaven to sit there and not have to talk for 10 days. For a bunch of you are sitting there going, that is hell. And what I tell people all the time, and what I did in a 3-part podcast episode series of it, is that most people think that it's the silent part that's going to be the hard part. And maybe for some people that is the hard part. But honestly, when you're meditating pretty well nonstop from 4:30 in the morning to 9:30 at night, you have to face yourself. You have to go within. You have to be willing to look in your mind in a way that generally most of us aren't ever willing to do. And that's what life was like for me for many, many years of my life, if not decades of my life. I, just like the majority of people, I believed the lie that if I could just get my circumstances to line up with how I wanted things to be, then, alas, I would be happy. And so I chased. And you would know through my first book, Perfectly Imperfect, that my pursuit of loving myself and loving my body came only when I gave up the chase of trying to change it. I'm trying to force me to be something or someone that I wasn't. We spend our lifetimes nexting ourselves. And I did too. I thought that through getting the partner, finally having a business, doing the work that I love, getting a certain body, having a certain amount of money in the bank, that all of that would be the thing that would make me happy. Only to kind of get to the end of the rainbow and realize that the pot of gold had been moved to the next rainbow. Again and again and again, nexting. And I was exhausted. And so on my pursuit of happiness, true happiness, lasting happiness, sustainable happiness, happiness that isn't disturbed by outside circumstances. I'm not talking about the kind of happiness that's like fleeting, that's joyful and pleasurable in the moment. I think that many of us confuse pleasure and joy with happiness. But true happiness is the feeling that everything is okay, irrelevant of whether or not there's a storm raging on outside of you. I like to think of it, and I talk about this in my book, around it being like an ocean. On the surface of the ocean, there are storms, there is, lots of light that comes in, there are big waves, there are small waves, all the conditions of the ocean change up top. But the deeper that you go in the ocean, the quieter it gets, the stiller it gets, the darker it gets. It gets this sense of peace, stillness. For many people, terror. I don't think I'd want to be at the very bottom of the ocean. But I do want to be at the very bottom of myself, because there is peace. Underneath all the noise of our life and our world and our thoughts is peace, happiness, contentment that goes beyond the storm. It doesn't mean that the storm won't rage on above us. Of course it doesn't. It doesn't mean that there's going to be fluctuations from our daily life. That's part of the deal. Problems are built in life. But what it does mean is that deep down below all of that, there's a real sense of calm, that everything is okay. And I believe deep down that all of us truly want that. That is what we are searching for. That's what we're seeking for. And it's that core driver that has led me to do some probably fairly extravagant things, like go to a 10-day Vipassana meditation course. For the second time, might I add. My first one was in 2018 and my second one in 2023. So 5 years apart. And the second time round that I went on Vipassana, and you can watch the full episodes and my whole download about it in previous episodes here on the podcast. In 10 days of being alone, when I say alone, you're not entirely alone, but you're there to behave as if you are alone. There's people around you. There's probably about 50 women and 50 men in the great hall, and they're separated at all times. And you eat together, and you have bedding arrangements. I had my own room this time round, but you have sleeping arrangements, but you're not to make eye contact. You're not to gesture. There's no non-verbal communication. So there's not only verbal communication, there's no non-verbal communication either. Eye contact, winks, gesture, thank you, nods, all that kind of stuff. All this stuff that we're pretty used to doing, we don't do anymore. You're in your own lane, walking your own path. You meditate alone, you go to bed alone, you shower alone, everything you do is to be centered within yourself for those 10 days, to really force yourself to find the parts of you that you are not wanting to face. There are no reading materials, there are no writing materials, and you are to just be centered within yourself for those 10 days. And I love this because I'm quite an outward person. In a lot of my work, obviously I create, I write, I make podcasts, I have lots of content on my social media, and I have a beautiful bunch of friends. I spend a lot of time outward in my life, yet I'm an introvert. So going inwards is something that's really important to my happiness, really important to my journey of self-development, and it has been for the last 20 years, ever since I've been on this path. And so this time was no different for me. It was a chance to go inwards. It was a chance to meet my soul to the level to which it'd been now, 5 years on since my last one. And I didn't expect it to be easy, but I did expect that it would have, I was prepared for the challenges. I was prepared for the discomfort in my body. I was prepared for my mind to go bananas because it doesn't want to be looked at. I was prepared for, the discomfort that was going to come from that 10 days. And it did. And I was okay. We can do hard things. What I wasn't prepared for, that I totally welcomed, was, this. Get happy and free. You're encouraged in Vipassana to just be doing the meditation. But of course, our minds wander off, right? They wander off into all different places, and they're making up stories and scenarios, and you are given tools to be able to help deal with that and learn how to deal with your mind. I'm fairly well practiced. I've been training my mind for many, many years, and I recommend that you do the same. Get in the gym that is your mind so you can tone up and stop letting it rule you. During these 10 days, and especially towards, I think, about day 7, about a week in, this title dropped in for me. Get happy and free. It's actually one of the Buddhist prayers that says, may all beings be happy and free. May all beings be happy and free. And this title, Get Happy and Free, came to me. And over the next 2 or 3 days, more data just kept coming into my mind. It was like I was an open channel, receptive to whatever needed to come. But of course, I have no way of collecting that. I have no way of writing it down. I'm not going to sit at my computer at the end of the day. It was safely tucked away 400 kilometers away. I don't have any writing materials. I don't have my phone. There's no way to capture the data. So I just needed to trust that if something was going to come through, when it came through, if it came through, then I would be prepared to catch it. And so when one comes out of a 10-day silent retreat or course like you do, it's a little bit of adjustment to the world. All of a sudden I'm driving, I'm in traffic, I'm talking to people, I'm engaging. It's a bit of a weird adjustment back into society. And when I came back into society, I just kept my phone off for another 2 or 3 days. I didn't want to yet engage. I just wanted to do a slow assimilation back into society. So about 10 days after about 10 days, maybe a week after I got home from the Vipassana, this get happy and free, get happy and free, get happy and free was still percolating inside of me. And I thought, right, it's a new book. And I really felt into it. I felt that there was something here. And so I cleared large parts of my calendar for a week at least and took myself off to the library. And honestly, 3 weeks later, I have a book. Now, obviously, I didn't have it in my hot little hands. I didn't have the actual book itself in my hot little hands after 3 weeks. But after 3 weeks and about 8 sessions, it just flowed through me. It came through me like a beautiful downloaded stream of consciousness that made sense, that hit home, that was very poignant. And I sat on it. November came and went, Christmas came, busy times, things were happening. And it wasn't until January that I reached out to my publisher and said, hey, I have a new book. Of course, he was thrilled. And it wasn't until mid-February, after my course, Claim Your Confidence, went live, that I was ready to move on it. So now, being that it is post May 23. May 23 was the birth date, the official launch date of Get Happy and Free. And this now puppy is in the world. This weekend only. And look, depending on where you are in the world, depending on when you're listening, you still might be able to get this offer. I can't make any guarantees. But for the last 3 days, you've been able to get the digital copy of Get Happy and Free for just 99 cents. 99 cents of decades worth of wisdom, of trial and error put into this incredible book, if I do say so myself, and you could get it on Amazon for just 99 cents. So I highly recommend you go do that before that sale runs out. Don't know when that's going to be, so you better go check it out. Otherwise, paperbacks can be found on Amazon as well. And actually, I am going to be doing a series of signed, author-signed, personalized signed copies of this beautiful book, Get Happy and Free. So if you would like to get access and you would like one of these, just head to my website. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes for you. Go to my website and you will be able to find a copy of Get Happy and Free, a personalized signed copy, and you'll be able to pre-order because they will be coming to me in about a few weeks' time, and then I'll be able to start sending them out to you. So you'll be able to get personalized copies along with a juicy, good-looking bookmark to go with it, copies of Get Happy and Free. So I highly recommend you go pre-order them right now. I thought that maybe perhaps just to give you a bit of an insight. I know some of you have already started reading the book, which is so exciting, and thank you for those who have already bought it. Thank you for those who helped me on my mission to become an Amazon #1 bestseller. I appreciate you so, so very much. I kind of thought that I'm going to read to you just a little part of chapter 1 here. I've also been recording it for Audible, so that you can listen to the dulcet tones of this book. Yes, it will be available on Audible and all good listening platforms soon enough. Soon enough. Let's get to the paperback version first. We've just done the digital version. Let's get to the signed paperback, and then we will dive into the audiobook. But rest assured that I have been recording it for you. So as I was reading through chapter 1 here, I feel so compelled to share with you just bits of this. I love this. Perhaps you've gone after a goal like losing weight, getting a promotion, buying a house, and you were blissed out for a time while you basked in your glory. And then soon after, your mind went back to wanting the next thing, perpetually unsatisfied. Getting things is not happiness. Listen to this. Happiness is one's ability to no longer be the slave to our mind's insatiable desires and cravings, nor to its constant distaste of unpleasant circumstances. Happiness is going beyond the apparent surface level of life circumstances and occurrences to which we hold very little power over, and tapping into the infinite source of wisdom that lies within us. The happiness that we are really and truly seeking is the liberation from our own mind and its unceasing demands of wanting this and not wanting that. You know, there's some beautiful stories that I shared with you in my Vipassana download, which I will talk about in Get Happy and Free as well. I do talk about in Get Happy and Free about how in Vipassana you learn about craving and aversion, about having desire for things constantly. That insatiable part of us is part of our misery. And having aversion for things, saying, I don't like it, I don't want it, is also creating our misery. And I had two beautiful experiences of both craving and aversion in my Vipassana. And I speak about them in this book. So I highly recommend giving it a read. Listen to this. This mind of ours is sick, clouded and filtered by our fears, desires, oppositions, worries, and doubts. It spends the large majority, if not all, of its time attempting to control the environment outside of itself in the vain attempt that it will be happy. That's like trying to remain dry while swimming. Impossible. Until we realize what we are truly going for here, happiness will remain the misunderstood, second-rate, cheap knockoff craving for external events that leads us only to more and more suffering. Have you ever stopped to notice that no matter how much you have, at some point you always want more? Yeah, right? But when was enough enough? If we have a look at that, these minds of ours are never satisfied. Never, never, ever. Get Happy and Free came out on May 23, and I am just so thrilled to be able to share it with the world. You know, I actually accompany every single chapter of Get Happy and Free with some worksheets that you can get for free. Again, the details are in the book. So the worksheets that are associated with it, you can download for free from the book to be able to help you on this happiness journey. I see we're in a global epidemic of unhappiness. And I think that what we need to know is how to train our minds, how to not stop our negative thinking, but how to take control of our mind so we have less negative thinking. How do we deal with our fear? How do we overcome our emotions? How do we deal with the difficulties of our lives rather than just numbing the pain? This is what I want for you. I'm going to read you the back cover. Millions of people want to be happy. Most aren't. Here's why. You're nexting your life away in the hopes that it will make you happy. No matter how much you achieve and obtain, your mind is never satisfied for long. You chase more and more in the hope that it'll be this next thing that will finally bring you the happiness you're searching for. Our global unhappiness epidemic knows the chase all too well. Chasing perfection, money, success, relationships, accolades, body image, fame, status, enoughness, never to arrive at the promised land. Despite unprecedented access to health, wealth, information, and education, we are unhappier than ever. In this game-changing book written for those who are tired of the chase by someone who's given it up, you'll learn how to cultivate a positive mindset no matter life circumstance. Remember the ocean we were talking about before. Master your emotional well-being and triumph over your fear. Conquer life's challenges with more confidence. Uncover the roots of unhappiness and liberate yourself from its grip. And enhance your communication skills and navigate conflicts with finesse. It's time to free the happy, my friends. So I highly recommend that you go check it out. And if you haven't actually gone and checked out already, my first book, Amazon bestseller, Perfectly Imperfect, Your Complete Guide to Loving Yourself and Loving Your Body, has been out for a few years now. I do still do signed copies of this bad girl as well. This very good girl, actually. So go ahead and check out Perfectly Imperfect. Again, you can find that on Amazon, my website, all the places. I'll chuck the links down the bottom for you to go check it out. I'm so thrilled to bring this to you here, and I hope with all of my heart that you learn how to get happy and free. However you do that, if it's through my work, if it's through my book, then happy days. If it's not in some other way, then go find your happy. It's so important. And remember, most people do not hit that subscribe button. So I would love for you to hit that subscribe or the follow button on whatever platform you are tuning into this episode here today. It really honestly helps me more than you could possibly ever imagine and helps me to create a podcast that is really enriching for you and for the world at large. So thank you for being here. The audiobook for Get Happy and Free is coming very soon. Signed copies, you can pre-order them right now. Just head to my website. And until next time, my loves, I hope that you are happy and free. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much for listening to the More Confidence with Luna Gaia podcast. I hope you feel more confident, more self-assured, and ready to go tackle the world's problems and maybe kick ass in some of your dreams. If you haven't already, I would love for you to like and subscribe, follow, and maybe leave a review so that other people know how to find this awesome podcast too. If you're wanting to sink your teeth into something even more juicy, my #1 best-selling book, Perfectly Imperfect, Your Complete Guide to Loving Yourself and Loving Your Body, is now available on all good bookstore sites, both in print, digital, and I narrated it for Audible as well. If you think that coaching or maybe one of my courses is for you, why not head to www.moreconfidence.com.au and get in touch and see if we can talk. And of course, you can find me all across the social medias. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, which is where you're probably listening now, or maybe even here on the podcast platform. Sending you big love and wishing you a beautiful day.